after the first post or tweet that Jonathan sent to me, I blocked him. So then I'm trying to figure out now why they're so mad at me. I will show you why I now think they were so mad at me. Today I see all this. Deflect from your racism, Vicky Pate. Thread about you and your past racism against people of color. Burnt Toast, Glarer, Chronicles of the Shady, Queen, Savage, Ickadmail, OG Donald Duck, and PDX 852.
But Charles Johnson from Go News was going to get the juvenile records for Mike Brown. Well, Sean King, that ticked him off, so he put up that Charles Johnson was a pedophile, and not only said it, but put up a police report that said Charles Johnson, with I think the birth date was like a year off, that this was his police report, that he was a pedophile. And I mean, you can call people a lot of things, but there's some things that, you know, I mean, even racist, whatever, but to call a man a pedophile will stick forever. So I started looking into him, and all I could find were good.
Now, to call somebody a racist, I got a comment there. To call someone a racist, that sticks forever too.
Yeah, but you know what? In 2016, you can look up 2015, 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010, 2009. I mean, fuck. You can look up anyone that wasn't with the media program at the time politically. They were called a racist. Everybody was a racist. People were getting their accounts taken down. You're a racist. Whatever you said, especially if you had a blog or a YouTube channel. I know, speaking of Milo was destroyed by these people. He had just written a great book. Bill Maher had him on. He was on the rise, and they couldn't take that. So they had to destroy him. So being called a racist, yeah, it's pretty damning, which is what y'all are doing to me right now. You can't find anything to call me a racist. I can see how you would look at the blog, not be in the time or whatever, and people make fun of me saying that. I don't give a fuck. At the time, it was very, very, like I said, you were a racist if you didn't follow the program. And I don't follow programs. But being called a pedophile, would you like to be called a pedophile and have it ruin your fucking career? Because that's what happened to Milo, which is ironic that we're talking about Charles Johnson, who turned out to really be a piece of shit. Understand, when I was doing all this, like on Twitter, and I joined Twitter, I think in 2008, and it started kind of blowing up with all the racist bullshit, and the left just going off the rails, because I was on the left until all this bullshit. And a lot of people kind of abandoned ship. That's why Trump was elected, because they didn't want any more. So I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but yeah. So Charles Johnson was, so what I was saying is, I didn't know all these people. Like, I started writing my blog. That's how I started knowing different people. Milo contacted me because of the Sean King. My Sean King blog blew up. And then Sean King got me, taken off Twitter.
I'm not going to call somebody a racist unless there's ample evidence to dictate as such.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Good things, like hundreds of blogs about how great he was. He was on CNN. He was a philanthropist, all these great things. We'll come to find out later. He had a good publicist that was doing all this. Anything to corroborate that. It was much later that Daily Caller got the police report that proved Sean was lying, that he wasn't beat up by 14 rednecks. So this just got me to looking into Hope Mob, into his Twitch change, into all these charities, the worst being a home in Haiti, which he was doing while he was the pastor at this church. I just kept looking and looking. And
I'm going to go ahead and let him keep going.
I was putting it on Twitter, and I would put something on Twitter, I would get suspended. And it wasn't until like May that I thought, there has to be something I can prove to show that he's not credible.
Suspended from Twitter. What was happening? So presumably you were just reporting on facts. Why were you getting suspended from a social network?
I believe because Sean had been in business with Claire Ortiz, who was she worked for Twitter. I'm not sure.
The problem with all this
is
at this point in my live stream, we already know she's a liar.
No. You don't know that I'm a liar. I didn't need to reveal my name. That's what I lied about. Then when people started asking me, which is very recently, like a month ago, whether the Renews It blog belonged to me, I said no. Or I don't know how I said it. No, it wasn't connected or whatever. Because once you found that out, then you can get my name very easily. My name's my business. Not now. I mean, it's out there. But for you to call me a liar because of all this, what else did I lie about? I lied about my goddamn name. That's it. This is what gets me. Even being called a racist to me isn't as bad as being called a liar. You know, I can still tell the truth and be a racist, but I can't. Nothing matters if I'm a liar. Which is really ironic since I listened to you on another show lie your ass off, sober.
So everything that you're hearing her say here has to be taken with a grain of salt.
No, it doesn't. Because what I just said about Ortiz, she was the marketing director for Twitter. And you can find that on my blog, the proof. It's right there in black and white.
And has to be in the interest of
Nothing I said in this interview was a lie. It's all based on fact. In fact, Breitbart, it took a while before it came out because their attorneys had to look at it. Not for my blog, but for Breitbart to publish it. None of it was a lie.
of self-preservation, you know, to some degree.
No.
Because all we've seen from her are the actions of somebody only interested in self-preservation.
My head, I want to explode. Of course, Clara, just like you, going on with 5 women, you know, that was self-preservation. I don't know. That's not, I don't know. Maybe it is. But it's been this past month that you've seen me just act like an idiot, which I'm probably doing now. My first 2 lives, they were unbelievable. But you're going to base my entire everything, my 2 years here, you're going to wrap it up because you couldn't research. You could research everything I'm saying here on my blog and see that it's all documented. But no, it's easier to sit there in your chair, having your drink, and calling me a liar.
Sure, she's still with him now. She was at the time. But my opinion only was that he was probably asking her to suspend me. You know, I don't know. It was just after I would go on Twitter and put up my blog and say, you know, this is what's happening with him, I would get suspended.
Yeah, I never got suspended for anything but putting out something on Sean King. That way, when you get suspended and then banned, all that goes away. All the information I put up there goes away. It's gone. And that's why he was doing it. I fully believe he was doing it. And he can't do it. It got to the point where, as I'm going to show you, actually, what people are talking about as far as Sean King goes today. This is 2021. Close enough. I knew Sean King was a whole ass fraud, that gentrified ass bum. So Sean King, as usual, is doing damage control. But this is where he's explaining how my mother is white, sweetest woman ever, love her so much. My biological father was a light-skinned black man and was basically mixed. Well, that's not what he said before. I think that's on my blog. I'm pretty sure it is. He was just a black man. So now he's getting, I guess he's been getting more pushback. I haven't paid attention to him in a very long time. And so now he's a mixed man. I was actually considered black. You were never considered black. Not mixed or biracial where I grew up as well. It was cut and dry, like where I came up. It wasn't even a question. You'd have to go back to the 80s and early 90s to understand it was a different time. I don't know what that is. And from the time I was a boy until 215, which is when I'm pretty sure that's when I outed him, when I was 34 years old and was fighting against police brutality in America, nobody questioned this. I told my story on race for 20 years before that, but literal white supremacists, which is where that came from, I was a white supremacist. I think now he blames it on Milo. I'm not sure. I started telling 100 lies about me, including that I was stealing from families and I was a white man pretending to be black. I never thought people would accept either of them. Both are preposterous. Well, okay, Sean, now you're just pissing on everybody's legs and telling them it's raining, because I know Tamir Rice's mother confronted you about starting a GoFundMe without telling her. Being me is indeed complicated. I've been welcomed in both white and black spaces since I was a little boy. The reason people get pissed at you is because you use the race card to stifle commentary. You used it on me. You used it on a lot of people. Oh, you're just coming at me because I'm black. All that thievery, allegedly, that you did, no one could talk about it because they were accused of being a white supremacist. At the Raw story, Salon, Snopes, that girl was your friend. And I have that proof too. Being me, I've been welcomed in both white and black spaces, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of funny stories to this too. Forget the guy's name. He's a black DJ. And he told this story a long time ago. Sean had come into the studio to try to get a job, and they were like, no. Race obviously was created as a social tool, for power and oppression. And he was raised in Kentucky, and he's trying to act like he was a black boy in Kentucky, that it didn't matter. But problem is, he tells a story about how he was the first hate crime in Kentucky when he was like 14 or 15. Well, first of all, there was no hate crime statute when you were 14 or 15 in Kentucky. And it's on my blog, got the police report, we got everything, that you were a total liar about it. I didn't choose the conditions of my birth. Oh my God, dude. So this picture right here, he darkened, like he always wanted to be black. Okay, so then Leah Michelle, he's white. Yep. Chantizi is a black person. So is Leah Michelle. Wow, folks have been saying this for a minute, but the accusation seemed to never go anywhere. I think it will now. So somebody else has apparently found something out. Indeed, because this would have been 6 years after. If he was born in 215, would have been 36, not 34. Well, it's kind of. What's hidden in the darkness? That part. Gentrified, a bum ass. He is tough. He deleted the post. He's good. He deleted all his tweets at one point. Our closest friend was biracial, son of a preacher, adopted by a God-fearing black woman. He grew up in Harlem and told stories of he was 89 when he passed away 4 years ago. So Sean's story sounds improbable. All of his stories sounded improbable. And basically calling his mama a hoe, which somebody during this last month just got all over me for, because I said he made his mother look like a whore. And he did. In these Twitter streets, I can't imagine she's going to be happy about that. Sean makes a lot of money. The explanation doesn't even make sense. Easy. So, he is the male Rachel Dolezal, which was the title of my post about him. He was Rachel Dolezal 2.0. He looks like he could be one of my light-skinned Puerto Rican friends, not all white, but enough melanin to be black or an obvious Latino. No, he's very white. Facts. Tamir Rice's mama gonna punk him into taking a DNA test. Like, Mima, he better stop it. See, Tamir Rice's mother was not happy with him. And Crump was her attorney for a while. I think she fired him. He makes me sick. Profiting off Black people in pain. Black people's pain, misery, and murder. Grifter. You literally shill for Kamala Harris. Okay, this one. He makes me sick. Profiting off Black people's pain, misery, and murder. Whole point. But when I say it, I'm racist. So anyway, that's Sean King. There's like tons more if you look him up.
Let's move on to the race thing.
Okay, so the race thing only came up in June, in like May and June, probably. I mean, I'd always thought about it, but it was really because.
But pay close attention to what she says about this, folks.
Yes,
his entire family is white. You know, all the Facebook, the extended family, everyone's white. And so I thought, this is just the one thing. If I can just prove this, then his credibility will certainly be ruined, right? You would think.
You would imagine.
We both know.
His credibility needed to be ruined because of all the money he was collecting. He had a new scam. When one was getting close to being found out, he'd do another one. I think I already explained this before, how he started some kind of donation fund or some kind of business where he wanted donations. And he had a whole board of directors. And I was looking at him thinking, why would this person be associated with Sean King? Because at that time, you weren't going to be a big celebrity and associate yourself with him. At one time, a couple of them did. But anyway, but come to find out, none of those people knew they were on his board of directors.
No, but that's not true.
What happened in the end?
No, you get a job at New York Daily News. So,
but Blair, he knows so much because he didn't bother. None of them did. That's why I'm saying confirmation bias. None of these people went and did any research on Sean King. None.
So that's what happened. And then I and some other people behind the scenes, because I don't ever let anything out until I'm pretty sure about it. And we started looking into, so what a friend of mine he's actually a detective that didn't want his name mentioned, actually got the birth certificate in the first place. And he sent it to me. And then I thought about it. And then I think that's when you and I started talking.
Right.
And I was being hasty and said, well, I'm going to just put it up since you haven't put it up yet, but you were going through making sure the legal aspects were all correct.
Yeah, so. He was pissing me off because I knew he had it. And he had already told me that the lawyer had approved it. It was just a matter of putting it up, and all kinds of shit was happening. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to put it up.
So that's what happened. That's when you and I started talking. I was the only one that had the birth certificate. And then we started talking about it. And you said, can you prove 100%? And I said, yes, I can. And that's how it got started.
And what his defense was?
I believe his very first tweet was, Vicky Pate is a racist. And he gave me a lot of great publicity because he put in he listed my website, and I got like 40,000 hits in an hour. And he just said it was due to right-wing nut jobs, racist. And we kind of knew that the only out he had was to say his mother had.
And he would call me a right-wing nut job racist. This was in 2015, I think, when I don't even know if Trump had started running. So I don't know why they were calling. I don't know. Politically, I wasn't into it. So I don't know what the alt-right, right-wing, all that bullshit. So, but that was what you called people.
Interfere with a black man. I mean, that's the only thing he could say.
Yeah.
Because we had the proof.
Okay, so
he said his mom, and we had said that. Milo and I had said the only out he can have is if he says his mom had an affair with a black man, and that's what Sean came out and said, along with a lot of other stuff. I think it was like a 20-point after my tweet, or after this came out, CNN covered it. Don Lemon was on the phone. I can't find it, but Don Lemon was on the phone or got a tweet from one of Sean King's relatives saying his dad was indeed white. So maybe I can't find it because I think he and Don Lemon were kind of friends, and Don Lemon was a little different back then. But yeah, so
it's interesting to hear this type of language.
What language?
Someone who is throwing shade at someone who is using. It's interesting to hear her use this kind of language because, you know, I immediately think of
What kind of language did I just use? I don't know what language I just used.
You know, I immediately think of Bullhorn Betty, who will, when she will say something disgusting about someone of other color or something to that effect, she'll go, oh, well, you know, they're just, they always go to the race. They always play the race card, blah, 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 you know?
Yeah, that's not this.
In order to discredit them and in order to be dismissive of them and accuse them of virtue signaling and blah, blah, blah.
So now I'm Bullhorn Betty. That's why you should research, because now you look like an idiot.
So here she is just being like, no, you know, of course he's going to say, well, you know, they're racist. And when, you know, that's their only argument.
I didn't say they're racist. They're racist. I didn't say that. Who am I calling racist? Huh.
I'm pointing that out because this gets interesting.
Okay.
I mean, the day I found his dad's mugshot, he looks just like Sean. I mean, they look alike. And then you have to wonder, why would his mother have an affair with a black man and still name her son after the white father? I mean,
Oh, this is good.
Because maybe the white father is actually the one being the parent. That's possible. I mean,
And she would know that, like, when she had the affair and was pregnant for 9 months, that he was the one being the father. No, his name is Jeffrey Sean King. His dad's name is Jeffrey Sean King. And had he been black, like he tries to say, when he was born, I just think people would have caught on, don't you? I mean, he looks like his dad. He looks like his brother. They all look alike.
What difference does it make what her reasons are for naming a child and who she's naming the child after? What does that have to do with
What does it have to do with it? Oh, my God.
race or color or anything?
It doesn't. It just shows his dad is white. His mom is white. He's white. Keep up. Fuck.
Right.
that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I do want to make one thing clear. If you read my blogs about Sean King, I don't think you will find anywhere, unless it's a reference to Black Lives Matter, that I've ever gone. This has never been about Black Lives Matter, because for one thing, he's not black, but it's never been about that.
And this is interesting because they're using, like, what was it, Google Hangouts? That's what I used at first, and then they, like, eliminated Google Hangouts. You couldn't use it anymore. I think it was Hangouts. It was Google something to live stream. And this is how long ago that was. This was like 2015.
Yes.
It's been about Sean King. And, you know, the worst thing that I think he's ever done is steal from $250,000, in my opinion, based on my research, from an orphanage in Haiti. You know, and
That was a drop in the bucket. I just couldn't go on here accusing him of shit I didn't have proof of. But if you look up Sean King plus fraud, you'll see a ton of stuff now. But back then, I actually think it was more than that. But there were people in Haiti asking him where the money was. So lots of stories that I got just when I stopped following him in 2015, because again, like Ben Crump, you know, there are so many people that will follow. Sean King was always accusing people of stuff they didn't do. There was a cop that stopped a black woman, and it's out there. I might have put the story on the blog, and he accused the cop of sexually assaulting this woman. And then it turned into a race thing and all this. Well, guess what? He had body cam. There were still some people that don't give a shit about liars and frauds. They'll just keep giving them money. I mean, it's like the damnedest thing I've ever seen. So just like with JLR, what is he up to? 80,000 now? It does no good. You can call out these bad actors all day long, just like me. You can call me a racist all day long. I'll still get followers, but I'm not gonna go with that, because I don't want people to follow me that think I'm racist and they're okay with it. I don't.
And so it's never been about Black Lives Matter. And people keep saying, oh, they want to shut down Black Lives Matter. Well, they're going to shut themselves down. I'm not concerned with them.
No, watch.
Dude,
Yeah. What?
I mean, like,
What?
I got to play that one more time.
Yes, please.
Because that's just crazy.
Uh-huh.
She really just said that.
I really did.
You know, and so it's never been about Black Lives Matter. And people keep saying, oh, they want to shut down Black Lives Matter. Well, they're going to shut themselves down. I'm not concerned with them.
Yeah. So Sean King was going around saying he was a Black Lives Matter leader, and Black Lives Matter kept pushing back at him saying, I know you're not. He wasn't even really part of Black Lives Matter. He inserted himself into that movement because he was raising money in the name of that movement. But as far as Black Lives Matter, there was too much money being made. Black Lives Matter was set up to fail by certain people.
So there's obviously some sort of animosity towards Black Lives Matter, but does that prove that she's a racist?
I have no animosity towards Black Lives Matter. Is that what you heard? That they're going to be there? That we're talking about Black Lives Matter, the organization. There's Black Lives Matter that were just on the ground, that was growing like crazy when Ferguson came around. It was during Ferguson. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, if we're being totally honest, it really does not prove that she's a racist.
No.
It's some ignorant shit to say.
Really?
But
you know what's ignorant is that you didn't look anything up. You didn't just do a quick Google search on Sean King white or Sean King fraud. That's all it takes. Quick. Can do that. No, it's easier to come on here and clear your name because you were mentioned in a tweet, which is what I believe. Could be wrong, but it's what I believe. So you're going to find something racist or something you're going to say I'm lying about and everything because it's such a surprise. Oh my God, I didn't know. When you could have taken the other route and looked shit up and said, oh, well, this is wrong. This is where this came from. No.
This video here.
But you do it for
I'm
more
going to keep
though.
it muted because I don't need the music playing because it's just all dialogue and music. And,
Okay.
And this is a video made by the Jerks or whatever the channel's name is. The link is in the description along with Chronicles of the Shady's video.